So one of the lies that was said about me, that Lindsay wrote as well, was that I was going to pay for Prairie Seeds but never did, and going to help pay for and raise money for Prairie Seeds but didn't. And then yet she wrote that to the Civil Rights Commission, and I showed the Civil Rights Commission, like, here is a receipt for $100, and it says for Prairie Seeds to Lindsay through her Venmo. She told me to send it to her Venmo. I had originally asked her for a tax deductible. There was like some information for the nonprofit Reliable Street, and I got this form to show tax exemption, so we don't have to pay tax on these seeds. And she told me, I don't think actually Reliable Street will cover the Prairie, because we're in a community art space and it doesn't really fit into our mission. She said, so I'll have to order it through the LLC. And and I didn't know what the LLC she was talking about, so I went ahead and so she gave me her Venmo. I sent her $100. This other employee wanted to pay $100 as well, and I told Lindsay that I had a financial emergency and I could get the rest, but I didn't have it yet, and it was like $40 extra. So the seeds were like $240, and we had $200 because me and this girl that was helping in the garden, we both split on it. And Lindsay said, "Don't worry, I'll cover it." Like, she seemed excited and fine about it. And so she was gonna cover it, and then and so when I texted the Venmo information to this other employee, this employee wrote "Love you," and this was 2 weeks before this complaint where it somehow went from "I love you" to "I'm stalking her." But I don't, like I said, I don't think that this employee knew. And honestly, I don't think this employee would be okay with Lindsay saying that I was stalking or harassing her. I don't think, but I do think that, never mind this, we'll get to that. I do think that people might lie to protect the image of the business, and they might say really bad things about me and a lot of other people because of where they sit on the transgender argument. I don't even know why there is an argument. Well, I do, because there's a lot of misinformation out there, and negative propaganda, and blah, blah, blah. That's a whole nother ball of trauma. So yeah, sorry, I'm getting emotional. It's hard to talk because it's just like one traumatic thing after another on this path, and then you've got like you look up and you see something going on with like politicians and media painting us really negatively every day, and it's pretty emotionally abusive environment to live in currently here in the United States. But I am grateful to be in a country where I am alive, because there's other countries where I would be put to death just for this. And so thank you, veterans, and officers who are protecting our First Amendment and my ability to speak out and stay alive afterward. Like, that's the beauty of America. Like, we are a country of civil rights where we should have civil discourse and be able to talk through things and learn instead of the alternatives. So, okay, let me try to get back on track. So I wrote an appeal to the Civil Rights Commission. They gave me a strict 30-day time limit, which was really hard because every time I opened up this this document they sent me and I saw what was written about me, about 10 extremely damaging, like, lies that will ruin my life. Like, lies that will turn people against me and put my life in danger. That's how serious this is. That I was accused of stalking a woman, that I'm transgender, that she knew I wasn't, that she basically said, I am willing to hurt you. All I have to do is accuse you of things, and other people will hurt you for me because of the type of accusations that came against me from Lindsay. Like, that's extremely damaging. I had people say, like, well, they're not telling anybody, and it's like, no, I don't believe that. Like, these people have shown me that they are dishonest. So I can't just trust that they're not telling other people these things about me. I left the open mic at Della Viti like a week and a half ago or a week ago. I left crying because some Lockwood employees walked in. They had nothing to do with the situation, but I left crying because this has been so traumatic. Being scared for my life in Ames, Iowa, and not being able to find legal assistance. So the Iowa Civil Rights Commission dropped my case. I showed solid evidence that Lindsay and her friend Charlie lied to them. I believe strongly that when there's evidence that the one party is lying and there's overwhelming evidence that what they said is not true, that should have you issue a probable cause statement, Iowa Civil Rights Commission. Their website says that when they see probable cause, they'll issue a statement of probable cause, or they can issue like a no probable cause, or they can administratively close it. They administratively closed my case. Now let's think about probable cause. When does an officer have probable cause or reasonable suspicion? What's the standard in the law to have probable cause? If it smells like if an officer is doing an investigation and sees that this party is lying to them and probably hiding something, that could be probable cause right there very easily in court. For the Civil Rights Commission to not issue, something's going on here, this should be looked into closer. Endangers me and is grossly negligent. Even though it says on the Iowa Civil Rights Commission's website that they will come to every conclusion as basically in the plaintiff's favor or the complainant's favor, it looks to me when I read why they dropped the case that they were bending over backward and completely ignoring facts in order to protect the business from this, and I don't know why. So I contacted the Ames police and went in and talked to an officer there about a couple officers about a business within this jurisdiction wrote false statements to a government agency. I was told by the chief, can't remember his name offhand, I have it written down in a great video, it was very nice. He said, I don't know if we have jurisdiction over statements that are submitted to the Civil Rights Commission. He says, I think what you do need to do is start backward and call the Civil Rights Commission and ask them who has jurisdiction over statements that are made to them. And so I did that. And I was told, and I have this call recorded, I called the Iowa Civil Rights Commission. I was told that I asked who has jurisdiction over statements submitted to them, and the woman first said no one, and I said no one, and they said, well, you could file with the Iowa Attorney General's office. And so I ended up filing with them based on fraud. When I had a meeting with the investigator there, he said that they really don't, this more has to do with consumer fraud, not this type of fraud. And I contacted two different, or he said to go to this other department, and I filed with them. It was like I did victim compensation, and I also did fraud division of the Iowa Attorney General's office. I made complaints in both sections. The other one told me that they get people all the time contacting them about fraud, but they only specifically deal with identity theft. And the other side deals just with basically products. And so he said you could try contacting your county attorney and filing there. And if they see something, they would look into it. So I called the county attorney, Story County Attorney's Office, and was told that it is not a crime to submit false statements to the Iowa Civil Rights Commission. It would be to an officer during an investigation, but this is a whole completely different division. He said unless it says under penalty of perjury at the top of the paperwork, they can answer whatever they want to answer. So apparently that's the state of Iowa's position on this matter currently. During this, I think it was November, as I was dealing with the stress of being accused of these things and having my life in danger as a result of being accused of these terrible things by another woman, um, Kim Reynolds came out on her campaign ad and said, here in Iowa, she said something to the effect of, we know the difference between a man and a woman. This woman ran her campaign on attacking me and other people who have the same, I don't know, whatever. For some of us, I'm getting medical treatment for it. It's something that there's medical treatment for it, and I'm grateful for that. That's I'm glad there's a solution. It's not perfect. Like I said, I wish I started when I was like 16. I feel like I need to say some of these things because I'm 41, I'm transgender, I'm from Iowa, and I'm still alive. And I've almost been killed on multiple occasions. I've been diagnosed with PTSD and other things having to do with the severe trauma that I carry on a regular basis. And so to have a governor come in and fearmonger against me and turn the voter population against me and then make policies and sign laws into practice to hurt people and to keep young people so that they're raised like I was, to think something's wrong with themselves, they're being gaslighted to think something's wrong with them, when what they need is gender affirming care, like people that kind of understand and have like a much more well-rounded view of the situation. Honest to God, I think that a lot of this is solved through medical coverage. Like, I believe that facial surgery for trans women and bottom surgery need to be considered medically necessary, not cosmetic. If those two things were taken care of, if these basic surgeries were taken care of, so people can blend in and feel comfortable with themselves. I'm not saying anybody has to blend in, but I'm saying if somebody doesn't want to feel like they stick out like a sore thumb, or they just want to be perceived in a certain way without being misgendered all the time or bullied, like, everybody would feel more comfortable. Like, I would go into a restroom and nobody would look at me funny. I would walk down the street and nobody would look at me funny because they wouldn't see any difference. They wouldn't know any difference. Like, that's all I don't know why it's being billed as cosmetic right now, but I kind of do. But I think, like, I know there's a lot of Christians in this country, and from a Christian perspective, if somebody's suffering, like, it takes nothing away to say, let's help this person. It takes nothing away. It doesn't make, just, I want that to be the direction things go. And then the next generation, whatever it is, like, I can't really speak for what it's like to be a transgender man or non-binary or gender fluid. I'd rather leave that to individuals to speak for themselves how they feel. I'm just sharing, like, one trans woman / auntie in the community that kind of has, like, a few years under my belt and seeing the country go psychotic over this issue. I feel like my voice needs to be heard while I'm still here and still alive. So, backing up, Civil Rights Commission drops my case. Gives me a list of, like, you can contact these these places for low-income people. I call Iowa Legal Aid, Drake University Law Clinic, Beale and Story County Legal Aid, University of Iowa Law Clinic, Lambda Legal, bunch of them. I called all over. I called Lavender Legal, One Iowa, ACLU of Iowa like 3 times. I went down and called every attorney I could find on the iowafindalawyer.com state bar website, because everybody says go to the state bar website. I went there. I called every fraud attorney, every defamation attorney, and I didn't find any on discrimination. I'm going to keep looking. I did a whole list of them, and I've got them listed on the website. Like, you'll see how many places I've called to get help on this issue. And it's... Iowa, you are in a sad, sad place. You need to, we need to really check ourselves right now. I'm asking all of you. I'm begging all of you, please, 92% of low-income Americans don't find legal representation. Why is our law system so damn complex? Why did I get arrested for going in the women's restroom? And I didn't, I wasn't a minor anymore, but they didn't teach us anything about how to, if you're getting hurt through the law system, how to defend yourself and assert your rights. We know that we have rights, but the judicial system being so damn complex, you have to untangle all the rules of civil procedure, all the rules of criminal procedure, and all the rules of evidence. And it's a crossword puzzle from hell. These need to be put into a step-by-step. Step 1, this is how to, before you file your case, make sure you do these things. Step 2, file a complaint. The purpose of the justice system should be to institute justice. The executive branch should not be abusing people or people under color of law. Look up color of law crimes. United States Code, deprivation of rights under color of law, or conspiracy against rights. These are federal laws. The color of law crime is when somebody uses the appearance of law in order to deprive somebody of their rights. And that's why I'm passionate about educating people that color of law crimes exist. If somebody within the government has done something to you, you can charge them. We need more people. We need more attorneys standing up against these things and really investigating them and understanding, your client very likely doesn't going to have a $10,000 retainer for you. We need more funds available to the public sector. If you have a legal issue, and it's whatever it is, you should have help getting an attorney. There should be funds in place to pay for attorneys for people that can't afford them. I know there's contingency, but very few do it. The cheapest quote I got from every attorney that I contacted was $275 an hour. So I'm supposed to go on the stand, or go into court myself without an attorney, and confront these people that have threatened my life, threatened my safety, put my life in danger. And I'm supposed to look them in the face and cross-examine them as they lie to me in the face. Emotionally, I don't think I can handle that. This is why I'm working as hard as I can to find an attorney before the statute of limitations runs out. I filed a complaint with the Ombudsman Office of Ombudsman against the Iowa Civil Rights Commission because I felt like their determination was, like I said, negligent, ignored facts, ignored the fact that there was evidence that one party was lying. And the Office of Ombudsman sent me a letter that was basically, it ended with, I had this Supreme Court ruling that stuck out in it, and I have it posted on the website. the Iowa Civil Rights Commission is absolutely under no obligation to take cases, to screen in cases, even when there's apparent evidence of discrimination that took place. They're just supposed to alleviate the course and take some cases at their discretion. So even though their website makes it look like they will screen it in if there's probable cause, they will write this in the favor of the plaintiff. What's really I see happening is they bent over backward to protect the business, blatantly ignored facts, and then there's a Supreme Court ruling on the back end that we're not shown that says they're under no obligation to do these things. But I only got that information because I knew to file with the ombudsman. I bet a large percentage of people watching this video doesn't even know what the ombudsman's office is. They wouldn't even know that you can file against another agency. But it didn't seem like there was very many teeth in doing so. So, as this was all going on, like I said, when Kim Reynolds had come on and as a candidate, not as a governor, came on and asked to be reelected. After she slandered transgender people on public television, they didn't get held accountable, and there was no class action lawsuit for defamation. After that happened, sorry, it might have been before. At some point last year, my doctor told me that my surgeries were no longer covered because the Iowa Attorney General's office had halted coverage while they were waiting on a court decision for the Vasquez Covington, sorry if I'm mispronouncing, case. And my doctor told me that the surgeries were canceled, or I no longer had coverage while they were waiting for this because they were halted. She was almost in tears telling me. So as I'm dealing with all of this, like the government not caring or doing its job on the civil investigative side, and the judicial side of the executive branch, I'm also having the governor slander me and cut off medical coverage. So, yeah, I guess this is why I'm here on this planet right now. This is one of the reasons. My name's Sandra Wilson. If you made it this far in the videos, thank you for watching. There's probably more information I forgot to include. But I think we need to simplify the justice system and teach kids in high school should be learning jurisprudence. They should be knowing the difference between civil and criminal law by the time they get out of high school and the basics of what to do in court. They should know. Lincoln said, "We, the people, are the rightful masters of the courts and Congress, not to overthrow the people that uphold the Constitution, but those who pervert it." How can we be the rightful master of the courts when we are not taught how to use them and we have to depend on professionals who may or may not be acting in our best interest? I know I'm jaded because I've been hurt, including by my attorney who changed my